Hello, it's Rhea. Wherever you are and whatever time it is, I hope you are enjoying yourself. So, it's been a while, and even though I just showed my sketchbook at the beginning, you can see I'm actually placing down some of my just random sketches that I've done on different pieces of paper. And I'll get into like the drawings, like the paper that I'm using and all of the markers and stuff in a little bit, but I just wanted to say like this is a rather chill video. It's just gonna be me line arting and coloring each of these little mini sketches, and yeah, it's very laid back. The process itself is like pretty straightforward. It's like I did this pretty comfortably. I wasn't really trying to touch up everything and being too nitpicky, and yeah, I feel like that's a good thing to do every now and then. I really just wanted to like comfortably try out more alcohol markers and stuff, so this was a pretty like fun way to do that. I don't know how interesting this is on terms of like content or like where this type of video falls, because usually whenever I film I like to have some kind of like theme or premise for what I'm filming, but I don't know, sometimes I don't know, I guess it'd be nice to just like film something without actually thinking about it so much, as long as I'm still drawing or doing something art related. So you guys can let me know if this is like a vibe or not. I don't know, like it's pretty laid back, so you could put it on if you want to draw something, things like that. It's not necessarily the most draw with me, given that it's sped up, and it's kind of just like chill. It's almost like a filler episode pretty much. But yeah, here's just this random video compilation of me drawing different things. And I actually filmed this in 2 different sessions. The one that you're seeing right now is the first session where I did most of the line art, and you can tell because my nails are painted black, and whenever we switch to the part where I color the same drawing, my nails do not have any paint on them, and that's because I did that like literally a couple nights ago. Yeah, I just figured it'd be easier to do all the line art in one go and then do like the coloring in one go. And I started the line art, but then see right now when I'm erasing and stuff, like with the lighting being different and everything too. Sorry, I'm not gonna really fix that. I think I did a little bit, but it's like hopefully the lighting is still fine in both scenes. But yeah, different film times, and I don't really have much to say about the process either. But real quick, I'll try to add some like little I guess behind the scenes information for each drawing as I do them. So first up, this character is kind of just like, they look really similar to a character that I've drawn before, and like, but there's no like official OC thing here. Sometimes it's nice to just draw characters without any kind of like actual commitment on them having a story or anything like that. So I just figured it'd be cute. It's a little bunny. I didn't think I would use that much pink throughout this video, and yet like almost every drawing has some form of pink in it. And like it's so funny because it's not like pink is my favorite color. I do really enjoy it, but like gosh, I just can't help myself sometimes. But here I'm using Copic markers, and I think I use mostly Copic markers throughout this video, but yeah, this is just to really get used to alcohol markers and using them and trying out different things and blending. Also, I do have my little side thing for swatches, I guess, on this paper. This paper is like, okay, so this is very chaotic. I don't know if this is my Canson Illustration paper or my Canson Watercolor paper. Because I just like cut up different, like I took different sheets and cut them up, and I put labels on the back of some of them, but the labels that I did see for some of these was the watercolor paper, and I was like, well, why did I do that? Because for those of you who don't know, watercolor, while it will take up like it will take alcohol markers decently, it takes them too decently because it takes up all the ink that you could ever have in it. So it's really good at draining all the ink from the actual marker. Or not, what is it, ink? It's juice, marker juice. Anyways, it'll like drain the juice from your markers. So if you're using really precious markers like Copics that are expensive, things like that, you might not want to always use watercolor paper. There's other paper out there that you can use. And I thought it was my illustration paper, but I wasn't really sure. So, but I think it is the Canson watercolor paper. Either way, like visually, it turned out like okay for me. I liked it. I liked it a lot better than my render sketchbook paper. So, yeah, because it allows me to layer and just kind of like test things out, which you can see me trying out different kinds of layering here and there. I'm not like a pro or anything at using alcohol markers. Like I said, this is basically like little warm-ups for me to get a little bit better at it, and yeah, I think that's why it was so like fun and calming to do, because it was just me, you know, experimenting, testing things out. And I will say, using like these color combinations or like having a minimal amount of colors, I said this in the Pastel Ohuhu marker review, but using like limited colors is really like, it works well. It's really ideal for someone like me in these kinds of situations where I'm literally just trying to like test out the markers and not have to worry too much on like the actual drawing, if that makes sense. So it's like, yeah, you do have to think about the colors that you're using and stuff, but if I like keep a limited palette, then that makes it a little bit better, as opposed to like making this character's like hair, eyes, hoodie, and pants all completely different colors, you know what I mean? And just in general, that's not, I don't know how cohesive that would look, but yeah, so that was the first one. Then we're moving on to the next character, which I also think I do a pretty good job at keeping a limited palette on. I actually, I was debating on if I should, like how I should color it, because whenever I do the line art, you can see that I do like, I add a little pattern onto the clothing, and I feel like that's what allowed me to be so minimal on the coloring part and leaving some spots just white. I think it looks really clean with the other colors that I used in this, so yeah. Sometimes I feel bad whenever I film these. It's like, well, I mean, in this video too, it's like gonna be pretty low effort on terms of like the way that I film, but it's like whenever my hand like covers the drawing while I'm drawing on it, I'm like, is that okay? Because like, I know if I like angled my hand while drawing, I probably could make it to where it's like not covering the drawing all the time, but I feel like that's really difficult. It's really difficult and to like upkeep, and it's gonna make me draw awkwardly and not be able to put in my best. And that's just one of those things that it's like, I don't know if people realize that whenever like for people who film, it's like if they're drawing in a way that looks really like easy to see visually and stuff, it's definitely not the easiest thing to do. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll like compromise sometimes, but I feel like for me, like looking back at it, it's not that big of a deal. And also for me, who tends to watch videos like this while I'm also drawing, I'm like, it's fine. Honestly, I don't need to see the full process all the time anyways. But I think it's like, yeah, I think it'll be fine as long as I show like, every now and then I'll try to have a video that like shows a little bit more in depth of the process, where it's like you can see a little bit more real time, you can see when I actually do like the sketching part and stuff like that. But I think in these moments, like I said, I'm kind of into the idea of sometimes doing videos where it's just like this and it's like chaos, but I mean, still chill in a way, you know? So yes, here I am going in again with my Copic markers, and I know I say I do use like mostly Copic markers in this video, but there are some times where I will pull out a good old Tombow duo brush pen, and I don't know what that accent was, but like so it's that I'll use sometimes, and then also of course the Ohuhu pastel markers again. And I'll get into explaining like how I feel about each one while I was doing this, but overall I do want to say like all of them are pretty nice. Like all of them are pretty solid and they feel nice to use. and it's just crazy to think like how much of a difference that paper made. But then also because I did the line art before jumping into coloring most of these right away, I feel like that really helped on terms of any type of smudging issues that I had, because for those of you who have seen me test out the Pastel Ohuhu markers, once again when I tried it, like I was going through a lot because it kept smudging, and it was partially the paper, it was also partially my fact of layering, and it was also the fact that maybe I could have waited a lot longer and made sure that the actual line art for it was completely dry. You need to like actually make sure that it sets, and you can't just like do the line art and then wait for like 5 minutes and then jump in immediately, especially if you want to use alcohol markers in such a way where you're layering a lot. And like I said, that's kind of my thing. Well, I don't know, I like trying out different styles though. This one looks like it's wrapping up pretty nicely. Sorry that I also don't show like the drawing fully in film whenever I do it. I'll show some at the end, but yeah, because they were all more rectangular, it was kind of hard for me to, I'm never sure like if I should just have the full zoomed out view, or not like fully zoomed out, but it's like I want to be close enough to where you can like see some of the details a little bit while I'm drawing them, but I don't want to be so zoomed in to where you miss out. Like it's really easy for me to like start going out of like off screen basically, because I will do that if I don't like look in the viewfinder every now and then while I'm drawing. So yeah. And the first two drawings I'm pretty sure were just like from my own brain, if that makes sense. Like I didn't use a reference for them, but this next one, and you can tell because they were pretty simple poses, but this next one I believe was from Pinterest. I get tons of Pinterest boards that, or just like pins on Pinterest that I like save or like just open in another tab. I will literally have a browser filled with like tons of Pinterest tabs open, and I'll be like, okay, I'm not drawing this right now, but like I want to draw it, so like I'm just gonna leave it open. And it's like, you're not gonna draw that. You were not. Literally close your browser. You're wasting so much CPU usage. Why are you doing that to your computer, dude? But yeah, I am pretty sure I found this on Pinterest, and it's just like this cute little outfit, and I put it on this character, and it's like a stylized version. Also, the weird transition that I had just now is because like this was the drawing that I was working on whenever my battery died during the first session, so yep. Rip that. But I picked back up on it again, and I thought it was pretty chill. And for the line art, I might as well talk about that since I haven't yet. For this current line art that I'm doing, I'm using a Copic Multiliner in black. It is the 101, so is that 10 or 1? I think it's just 1, right? Because it's like, it's supposed to be 1.0, isn't it? That's what it's based off of, because the rest are like 0.5 or 0.005, but oh, and also like for this drawing specifically, I'm switching in between two liners. So the first one is the Copic one that I just mentioned, and the other one is Micron, because those are pretty much the main ones that I use. I'm just comfortable with them. So yeah, and the Micron I'm using here to do the red line art, I'm pretty sure was 08, which would make sense because the black one is 1.0, so that's why the red one looks a little bit thinner. But I do kind of like how the two-toned line art looked. It's not something that I always go out of my way to do, because I don't really like having to do line art to begin with since I suck at it, but I don't know, it's something I'd like to try out more, because that's the thing, whenever you do art traditionally, you don't have the benefit of just doing an alpha lock and changing the line art how you want. Once when it's done, so it's like, oof. But yeah, this is where I actually use my Ohuhu markers, and I think it works splendidly. I think that it turned out pretty nice for this drawing. Some more things that I noticed while doing this was, yeah, so the markers are not necessarily pastel to me. Like, they're pretty pigmented to be considered pastel. They're lighter shades, I will say that. They're not necessarily like straight up full-on saturation, but it's like they're like borderline. They're very borderline on terms of like being pastel or not. But I mean, once again, that's just like a personal thing. Maybe that's just how I see it. It's not that big of a deal to me. I still like the markers a lot. I was just like, wait a second. These are pretty like deep in pigment. Like for example, the character's skin in this, that's the lightest shade, I'm pretty sure. Like on the list of everything, on the list of all the other colors, like that's the lightest shade. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. But another thing is like, the nib, I want to say, like, while using Copic markers and while using the Tombow markers, when I switched to these, I was like actually really digging like how sturdy the nib felt compared to the other two. I don't know like how much I talked about the nib in the like little test review of it, but I will say this nib feels really like sturdy and stiff, and it's like that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you go about it, but I feel like it was kind of refreshing compared to the other two, because it felt like I was really able to color in a very like swift and deep way. Like I felt like it was giving good coverage, and I could also color it very quickly, because and that's pretty good, especially for like this kind of paper, because I definitely noticed when I was using my Copic markers throughout this video that like they were going through it, they were fighting for their lives. And that makes sense, because once again it is pretty like strong paper, it's like textured, it feels kind of similar to cardstock. So yeah, I think the performance for all the markers was great, but it was really interesting to like see the nib difference from Ohuhu and Tombow and Copics. I feel like the nib difference along with like the ink qualities might affect the way that you can color. So, you know, with Ohuhu, I feel like this sturdy nib lets me color in a really flat graphic style, and it's pretty cool. I'm really excited to continue to try out these markers, and yeah, I also just think this drawing in general was pretty cute. It feels very cheerleader-esque. And once again, the pink, I don't know what happened. I was debating on if I should go with like black or like gray in addition with the pink, but when I started and just went with like the two tones, I was like, that's so cute. Anyways, moving on to this last drawing. I'm actually drawing a photo of Lily Pichu. She is a streamer. She also had YouTube. I probably found her from her YouTube videos long ago, but this is a photo from her Instagram feed, and I feel like it definitely could have turned out a lot better, but it was still nice to try to do like a little like portrait drawing, because I don't know how often I really get around to doing stuff like this, let alone of like an actual person. I'm usually pretty shy about it, and once again, it's like the reason why I don't get around to doing like specific portraits of people that I like know, even in a like a parasocial relationship way, it's kind of like, oh god, I don't want to butcher them, because it's like they're an actual person too, so it feels even heavier as opposed to like a fictional character, I guess. Because it's like fictional characters, they come with the stylization, but an actual person, it's like you're on your own. You can stylize them however you want, and it just kind of feels like really, I don't know, it feels more weighted to me, but I think it turned out okay. It's still like wonky line art wise and stuff, but I'll let myself have a break for once. Now the process for this part is a bit slower, just because I figured it's the last drawing in this video, and then also it's probably the most involved drawing compared to the others. So yeah, you can see a little bit of my process on terms of, I mean, my line art process isn't that interesting, and it once again has a lot to be improved on, but nevertheless, I think like I'm getting there. With each bit here and there, I'm getting a little bit more used to doing line art and feeling a little less nervous, and I think that's also the benefit of not having to try to talk while I draw in real time, because it's like I can just put the camera there and focus on the line art. At most, I just have to look up every now and then to make sure I'm not like completely out of frame, but it's like for the most part I felt pretty comfortable while doing this. I was able to relax a little bit and not feel as anxious. So yeah, I would like to try, and I would have loved to do her glasses with like a gold, and the best way to do that would be if I had some kind of paint markers, which as you guys know I do have Poscas, but there's actually some paint pins that I ordered from Archer and Olive. They're called acrylograph paint pins. I remember because I remember seeing Pipa use them. Pipa's art, she's pretty popular on YouTube if you haven't watched her. And I just like, I think I talked about it before too in other traditional art videos. The more that I do traditional art lately, the more that I'm kind of interested in the idea of having a more opaque alternative. Because the thing with using markers and colored pencils, right, is that whenever you go darker, like that's essentially it. So if you make a smudge on something and it's like a really dark smudge, you can't just cover that up with a lighter color. If you're using paint markers, it's so opaque that it's like it's gonna cover it regardless. Even if it doesn't cover it on the first time, you can just use a second coating and then there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. It's kind of like if you paint with acrylic paints or with like gouache or acrylic gouache as opposed to watercolor. And I just really like that as a person who's very clumsy and tends to mess up a lot. But yeah, but back to the process a little bit. I use the gray, well, I colored the skin as you saw, and I like to I think my coloring style is it's pretty cool to see my coloring style be transferred from digital to traditional, because it is like pretty similar, but it's like you have the limits of traditional art. So but it's still nice to like achieve that blended look, and I think like I did a pretty decent job considering I'm not used to doing that traditionally at all. So I think it turned out pretty okay, and I'm excited to once again like try out more alcohol markers and really like get this down in a way where I feel like, oh yeah, okay, I think that's pretty like accurate for my style, like this is what I want. And yeah, so I liked how the skin turned out for the most part. Still a little bit chaotic, and I did have some smudging a lot in this drawing because I think this was the last line art that I did. Also, another thing, unfortunately, I don't think I put on manual focus for this. So sometimes my hand is gonna go in focus, and I'm genuinely sorry about that. I realized it after I was done with the entire thing, and I was like, oh my god, wait, this is so awkward, this is embarrassing. I hope it at least caught something. But yeah, unfortunately, if my hand is in the way, it's probably gonna focus on my hand. But nevertheless, you can still somewhat see like what's going on. And basically what I did for this process, still once again, very new to working with alcohol markers on a deeper level like this, where I'm working on actual portraits. So this is kind of my first time trying out layering and working with different colors and sort of seeing how they'll interact. I just kind of theoretically assumed that, you know, okay, if I place this cool gray down, or if I place these like dark pinks down and I did this cool gray over it, it'll sort of have like this more interesting look. Now Lily's hair is just straight up like black in the photo. It's like either black or really dark brown with like, what's it called whenever like underneath there's like a few strands of your hair at the back that are like, they're kind of like peekaboo strands almost, but it's like a part of her hair is like pinkish or like a fuchsia color. So yeah, I was like, okay, let me see how I can like sort of capture this in an interesting way, because it's like, just because someone's hair is black doesn't mean you actually have to color it black and that's it. You can definitely spice it up and use different colors, and that's definitely up my alley. And I also feel like using like the colors that I combine sort of make it look a little bit more purple, and I think that's pretty cool actually, because like looking at her actual VTuber avatar and stuff that she recently came out with, I think it does, like, it has a lot of interesting colors in it, and so that's kind of something that I wanted to capture in this. And yeah, I think like it was my first attempt at trying it, so I was kind of like, I don't know if this worked, but it was really cool to see like how alcohol markers can sort of look whenever they're blended like that, and seeing how the colors actually work, because like I said, I don't normally work with these often. I just don't really get around to doing much traditional art to begin with, so it was cool to see like how it all came together in this process. And I think like moving forward, I definitely want to work with it more. And luckily, I have a set of alcohol markers that I have not opened yet. Once again, I bought them around the same time that I bought the Ohuhu markers, but this is a different brand, so I'm excited to share them with you guys. And it's also a bigger set, so yeah. I'm wondering what I could do. Maybe I'll probably have like some 3 marker challenges going on, and just overall more videos of me working with these markers, because I feel like markers are like my primary traditional art medium to use, like my go-to, because it's like if I'm not sketching with pencil, then I'm sketching with like a colored pencil, and I'm usually going to color it with markers. And yeah, I am interested in like using other paints and stuff and trying out colored pencils, but I think for right now, just starting with one medium and really building up from there is always a good thing to do. So that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah, so while Lily's picture is coming out, what else can I talk about? Lily herself, oh my gosh, I've actually seen her in person, but I haven't like met her, because I saw her at the LCS finals for North America early this year, because they actually had it like in my city, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I finally went to an esports competition for once to see what it was like, and it was really cool. So but I like, she was having like a meet and greet with her, like with the offline TV crew, so but I was like, I don't really know everyone from the offline TV crew. I just know of like Lily and some of the others, but I haven't really kept up with it in like ages. But yeah, so I didn't go because I thought it'd be awkward. But actually, whenever I was walking around like the little like fun festival mini area, I was walking right next to Michael, and I was like, oh. And it's so funny because like a lot of people know him, of course, so like I'm walking next to him and he's getting stopped by all these people asking for like autographs or like a photo with him. And looking back, I'm like, wait a second, I could have just turned to him and be like, hey, nice to meet you. So can you tell Lily, like just full on be like, can you tell Lily that she's cute and amazing and pretty and talented and cool, and also I love a lot of her songs. Dreamy Night is everything. Love her. Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks. Bye. And then like that's No, but Lily's really cool. I feel like I've been following her for a while now. I don't keep up with everything that people do, but it was really cool to like see how much things have like changed for her over the years. And I'm so like, it's like that parasocial thing where it's like you don't really know someone, but you're like still proud of them for like all that they're doing and stuff. Like all her voice acting opportunities, the fact that she's making music now and things like that. I don't know, I'm just like really proud at how far she's come, and it makes me kind of like happy and inspired, and that is nice energy that I'd like to keep going. But nevertheless, this is pretty much the end of the video, so I will leave you with the outro as I show like how all these drawings turned out. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed your time here today, please feel free to leave a like. If you're interested to see more of my content, you can always check out my other videos and subscribe. For reference, if you're new, I am Rhea or Etheria, and I like making art and art-related content on my channel. I try to post weekly videos, but if you'd like more timely updates, you can always check out my other social media linked in the description and also the end of the video, primarily Twitter, well, probably just Twitch now because it's burning, but nevertheless, once again, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a nice rest of your day and happy December. Take care.